They began locally, toured around the world, and racked up gold and platinum selling albums. But Canadian rock band Helix is now calling out an organization that hasn't recognized their work. CTV's Krista Sharp explains.
Canadian rock band Helix wants to rock the Hall of Fame, but is having some trouble.
Why we're not there is beyond me.
Brent Durner, one of the band's original members, still riffs sometimes while showing off his gold and platinum albums.
This is our first album. It went gold. This is the second album in 1985.
He says he first started requesting Helix become a member of the Canadian Music Hall of Fame last year, but because a direct phone number or email is not displayed, he can only do so through their online submission form.
And I explained to him, you know, we've got all these album sales here. We basically sold 1 million albums. You know, some of the bands in there only have 1 gold album. We've got 4 golds and 2 platinum albums. What's the problem here?
Back in the 70s, Helix started as a cover band.
And then eventually we went all original, financed our own first 2 albums, borrowed money from our parents.
They sold 10,000 copies of each of those first 2 albums and were then signed by Capitol Records in Los Angeles. Over the decades, they've toured 15 countries.
I don't know if it's because it's hard rock or metal. Like, I don't know what the reason is why we're not getting chosen.
So now he's confused as to why his and hundreds of fans' requests to be inducted have gone ignored.
I don't think there are any politics involved. I think it's just a matter of clearing the backlog of all these Canadian artists that need to be recognized.
CTV News made multiple attempts to speak with someone at the Canadian Music Hall of Fame and their governing body, the Canadian Academy of Recording Arts and Sciences, neither of which replied by our deadline. In the meantime, Dorner says he simply feels left out.
Hello? Hello? Where are you guys? Why aren't we there?
Krista Sharp, CTV News, Kitchener.
Well, that is a bid to get Helix into Canada's Music Hall of Fame. We also are trying to get Helix onto Canada's Walk of Fame. And you can find that group. There's a group on Facebook that Brent and I put together, and it's called Helix for Canada's Music Hall of Fame and Canada's Walk of Fame. You can find that. We'll put that in the chat as well. I'm going to open up the chat room, so if you got some comments you want to make or whatnot, we've got a bit of a change in program tonight. We were supposed to have Jason Dozer with us tonight of Metal Dozer, the mic stand guy who makes all these cool custom microphone stands. He is going to be on the show on October the 2nd. And this guy offered to help me out last minute today. He's such a stand-up dude. He has become a really great friend of mine. Started out as a client on TUNZ Records and has become so much more, has become a friend. And he and I talk music all the time. We talk a whole lot of other stuff as well. But we're going to talk about music tonight, mostly about song lyrics, how music is written. He's got a couple of other concepts he wants to discuss as well. We call him Brent the Dr. Durner. He was part of that band way back in the day when they first got together, and was with them for many, many years through thick and through thin. And he has just completed his 6th studio album. We posted a video tonight on there, The White Parts of Her Tan. That is up on Facebook land now. You can see that streaming on my profile as well as TUNZ Records page. So check that out as well. But without further ado, this guy is a singer-songwriter, a gold record holder 4 times over, 2 platinum albums as well. None other than Brent Durner. Hey, Brent. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, what's going on?
It's great to have you on here tonight, man.
Hi, Ken. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
that was an interesting intro.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. I was talking with Angie Hill at Bounce FM. She's a longtime friend, and I was telling her about this, and she says, "That's interesting. I got a friend at CTV. I'm gonna give him a call." So 20 minutes later, the phone rings and it's CTV, and they said, "We want to come and visit you." And I said, "What day?" And they said, "How about in 20 minutes?" So they
Very
came
cool.
straight to the house. I just gave them the address and they came to the house.
I'm trying to flip this around. Something's going on. Something's going on weird with this tonight. I'm going to put you over here. I'm going to slip you over here if I can, and it's not letting me do that, and I don't know why. It's weird. We're having some issues tonight, so we're going to flip back and forth between you and me. So she did a really, really great interview with you. You interviewed well with that, and talked about your concerns about why Helix is not part of Canada's Music Hall of Fame. That the song that they featured on there, and here we go. This is not working well at all. They featured "Rock You." That is off "Walking the Razor's Edge." That came out in 1984.
Okay. I
So that
believe
would
you.
so that's like 40 years ago.
Yeah, yeah. It sure did take off for us. Where some of the tours we were on, we were the warm up band, and the very next year, we were the main act, and the band we were warming up was now our warm up band.
That's so cool that was able to happen for you guys. I mean, that was just awesome.
Yeah, we realized the importance of the recoupable money, and you could go out with the great big, lease the big tour bus and do all that, but it's recoupable money, so it just comes out of your royalties anyway. Excuse me. So we just went out with our old diesel school bus and kept the money.
Nice, nice.
So everybody else was rolling in and there's going, "Where's the Helix tour bus?" Well, it's that piece of shit over there, right?
So you guys were smart about the recoupable stuff, realizing that everything that the record label was just a loan to you guys.
Yeah, that's what it is. Like, yeah, I'd rather put the money in my bank account than ride around on a really nice bus. Besides, everybody. I think there was a party like every night in the bus. Not everybody partied every night, but out of the five guys in the band and the sound man and the tour manager and the bus driver who didn't drink, there was always somebody up after the show drinking, because we'd have our tour manager, the rider, that we'd have beer and booze on there. And, through the night, everybody would just come in and just drink your beer, right? So we just get it taken right out of the dressing room and put it right on the bus right away. Right? So we'd have it.
Nobody was drinking all your beer.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but the other bands would do that, eh? If you walk down the hall and they found the dressing room empty, people just go in and just help themselves to beer. And they even stole our stage clothes too, right?
Man, that's brutal. You lost your
Yeah.
stage clothes. Who stole the stage clothes?
I have no idea. I remember we were in BC and, okay, party's over. Time to head out to the bus. Pack up your shit right out of the dressing room. Where's my stage clothes? Never found them again. Never seen them. Somebody stole them.
And they were gone forever.
I hope they washed them. Jeez.
They'd be all sweaty, wouldn't they?
They would have been soaked. Well, the schedule was so heavy, I would just take my leather pants and just throw them right in the washing machine. And then we didn't have time to have them dried. We just put them back on wet and they would eventually dry out. Right?
Man. And you guys now, one of the cool things that you told me about that you guys had as one of your riders was socks.
Yeah, that was a really handy thing. When you play 5 or 6 cities in a week, when are you supposed to wash your clothes? We had some services do that for us, But we'd run out of socks, whether they had holes in them or whatever. And we finally said, let's just put 8 pairs of socks on there. So the crew and everybody, our guys and everybody in the band always had fresh, clean socks every day.
Well, yeah, that's kind of like the deal in the Army, right? Like if you're a foot soldier in the Army, having clean, dry socks was a big deal because you could get so many things going on with your feet.
Yeah, they get the diseases and stuff when they had wet feet all the time, right?
Right.
In the war.
And the same thing would happen. I mean, you sweat all night on the stage. I mean, the risk of picking up something like athlete's foot wouldn't be fun to have when you're on the road, would it?
No, stink foot. Yeah, no kidding.
Stink foot. Would it surprise you to know that Rock You has surpassed 11 million streams since it went digital?
No shit. That surprises me, actually. Yeah, that's friggin' great. Somebody send me a check, quick.
It's gone over 11 million streams digital. Do you remember how many copies that album sold when it was on vinyl?
Well, it went platinum, but unless it goes another 100,000, like platinum's then was 100,000. So unless it sells another 100,000, you won't get another platinum. But I think a guy from a record company called TUNZ had recommended that we go back to what I guess it would be Universal Group now and ask them to do the recount on the sales.
That's right.
Because some of those might go double platinum, right?
Some of them might be double platinum. And here's the other thing is that depending whether this version of Rock You on streaming services was a single, then it's probably gone diamond.
Well, I don't know. I mean, what do they call that when they do a recount on the sales? What's that? What do the records companies call that?
Oh boy,
is there a word for it?
If anybody knows, you can post that in the chat room. You can join us in the chat room there, and if you've got a comment to make, please, by all means, do that.
It's a recount, I guess.
Yeah,
so,
it's asking for a recount on that, and for some reason, I'm having some issues with this. When I deleted the link for the video tonight, for whatever reason, it gave us this setup tonight, and it's not letting me change anything. So we're gonna have to leave things the way they are for tonight. So some stuff we're going to talk about tonight. So you left the band a number of times throughout your tenure with the band. You started in '74 with the band, right?
I guess something like that. I don't sit here and try to think back on what year it might have been. I remember I was MIG welding in a factory, and I'd have to go from the factory to the Helix rehearsal. And Brian Palmer worked at Schneider's Meats, and I was a welder.
And you guys recorded some of your videos in the Massey Ferguson plant, right?
Wild in the Streets, yeah.
Yeah.
Huge plant in the middle of Toronto somewhere that was half empty. And, they brought in all the catered food back then, and they had all the people that you see on the end of the movie, like a gaffer and all those camera guys with a camera crane, and they had quite the big. It was like a movie production. It really was. I think that's why it cost $100,000. That's what Capitol Records billed us anyway.
And that $100,000 would have been 100% recoupable.
That's right.
So how did they recoup that $100,000? How did that work back in the day?
Well, for every album you sold, the band gets $1 and the record company gets the rest until they recoup their money. And remember, out of that $1, we got to split that between the management and the 5 guys.
Once the label recouped their money, then how did the split go after that? Do you remember how that went after that?
Well, your publisher, which would be our manager, he would take the standard, which is 50%. right? And then the band gets the other 50%, and we split it from there.
So you, as a working band, Helix, even back in the day, you guys made your lion's share of money from touring.
Oh yeah, yeah. You know, it was finally there was one point in our career where we could actually take time off the road and still get a paycheck. Because see, if you stop, there was a time where if you wanted a week off, you could get a week off, luckily, but you didn't get a paycheck at the end of that week because you
Right.
didn't play anywhere because you were professional, right? So how can you possibly? And then you got to remember, just because you're on the road for I don't know 45 weeks, 40 weeks, out of the year, you still got to pay your rent. There you go, Ken.
Yeah, it's still not working. I'm not gonna screw around with it anymore. So tonight we're gonna talk a little bit about things like songwriting and
Okay.
why songwriting, or why you believe that songwriting is such an important aspect of uh, of music. And you wrote some of the songs that helped you guys get signed to Capitol Records, or at least help get attention to your music.
That's right. Of course, songwriting is important. Like, to bring something to the table, like a song these days, like with the song title, like let's rock, or let's rock and roll all night. It's likely not going to fly, right? People have heard it before.
Because there's been so much of it. And when you guys came up with the song "Rock You," where did that come from? Where did the idea come for that song? Do you remember?
Mark Ribler and Brian Vollmer wrote that song in New York City. So I wasn't there for that.
And they brought it back to the band.
Yeah.
And then you guys all put your own trademarks on that song when they brought it back to the band.
Yeah, of course we recorded it, and we had a whole bunch of school children come in and yell the ROCKs for us, and then and mixed it in with the band guys, right?
Now you almost suffered hypothermia during the filming of that video.
Yeah, it was. It went to like 2 a.m. We were in a big open pit mine again in Toronto. There's a huge open pit mine. It's been there for 100 years. And you'd have to drive down and go down and around in a circle to get down to the bottom. And that's where we shot the video. Capitol Records hired all the strippers. Our manager was there. It got to be like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. And producer said, "That's a wrap. We're done." And our manager kept saying, "We don't have the magical shot here. We don't have the hook. You guys got to think of something right now. We need a hook for this video." And all there was in the bottom of we're in a quarry in the middle of the night, right? It started in the afternoon, but ended up so all there was is this trench to drain water at the bottom of the quarry. And I said, well, I can jump in the trench there with a guitar, hold my breath till the water settles smooth, and then just jump out of the water with my guitar, right? So we did that. But I mean, it was friggin' cold. It was late at night. They had these lights on stands everywhere, just so you could see where you're even walking, because it was like 1 a.m. or 2 a.m., something like that. And the guy said, "Wrap it up." And our manager argued, "No, you're not fucking wrapping it up. You're going to get this shot," he said. And the guy says, "Oh, no, we got enough." And our manager argued and bitched, and they said, "Stop tearing it down. We need this one last shot." Because Sipey had mentioned it to the film company maybe hours earlier, and the guy just ignored it, right? So our manager insisted on it. Seems like that was the one shot that everybody remembered was that shot. So it was a good thing our manager insisted on it.
It's an interesting song with an interesting concept and how it actually came to fruition. and how you guys brought that song to life, like so many other songs you brought to life. Now, we recently released on September the 6th a song off your second album called Thoughts That Bleed. You wrote that with Lachlan McFadden, right?
I don't know if he like he played piano on there, but I wouldn't say that. Like it was just like, say you were just picking like an A minor chord, picking it slow song,
Right.
and then went to a G major, right? Yeah, that's what it did. It went back and forth. I don't remember what key or what chords they are because it was done like 20 or 40 years ago,
Right.
50, and so he just played what I was playing on the guitar, and he called that songwriting. I don't know if I brought it to him. It was written. He just played piano on it, but
Right.
somehow he got a writing credit for it.
Yeah, I think there was a
Well,
shared
no disrespect. That's how I remember it. He just played on it. He didn't actually write the song. As far as I recall, I brought it to him finished.
Right. Now, was he a musician himself, or was he a producer?
Oh yeah, he was a good pianist, and I don't mean that with. I could be wrong about that, but I don't remember him actually writing a part in the song, right?
Yeah, I think there was somewhere along the way a writing credit that was given in terms of the actual inception of the song. But I think you had written all the lyrics. I love the lyric of the song, and that was one of the reasons why we decided to release this song when we did, because my thoughts don't flow, they bleed.
Yeah, and then and so you live for what you believe tonight. And
Yeah.
I was a young writer. I hate using the word at the end of the sentence, tonight. Let's rock tonight.
What I found interesting about that, the writing in that song, the lyrics in that song, they weren't your typical rock lyrics that you and I've talked about in terms of the basic rock writing formula. They were more in line with the stuff you're writing now that has more thoughtful lyrics put to them that tell an actual story.
I spend forever writing lyrics because I want every sentence to paint a picture. Like I don't want to say I gave my favorite girl a flower. I want to say I gave my sexy bitch a ruby red rose. You know what I mean? So it can
Right.
paint pictures. Like the lyrics should paint pictures in your head. I think anyway. This is how I try to make sure that that you can, with every sentence, picture something. When you're singing about certain thoughts, like I had a couple of bands come to me and say, can you make a video for us? I go, sure, send me the lyrics first. So I'd read the lyrics and go, these lyrics don't make any sense. What is this song even about? He goes, I don't really know. They just sounded good. The one guy said, so what's your message then?
Right. So you're looking, when you write a song, you're thinking about telling the listener a story, and you want them to visualize that story in their heads.
Yeah, or something like that. Like that new single, The White Parts of Her Tan. Well, that's pretty easy to picture in your head, isn't it? The band with the best name I ever heard was the Smashing Pumpkins. That just paints a picture. You can't mistake it. They got the world's best name, the Smashing Pumpkins.
Yeah, I think
You
that
write your songs out. You should write your lyrics like that. Paint images like that. You know what I'm
right.
saying?
Right. What do you think about when you're writing music? So what comes first to you? Do you write the lyrics or come up with the lyrics in your head, or do you come up with a riff and then write the lyrics to go with the riff?
Can't say. I mean, sometimes I'll just have. I always pick the best. First off, I always take a running. I always keep a list of phrases. If I hear somebody on the news say something, it goes into my Word document over here, and I call that, it's just a thought. I got a whole page of them here. I think I got 12 pages of just phrases, and you can get good phrases from. You open up the newspaper and go to the movie section. There's a whole bunch of great phrases right there.
Right.
For one,
Speaking of great,
and you can't copyright a song title, or we would run out of words, right?
for sure. Speaking of great phrases, you wrote a song called "Breathe My Name" that came out on your Ashtray Sonatas album.
Yeah.
My Wicked Twin. That was your 5th studio album, correct?
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
And it's now just on Spotify alone has gone over 10,000 streams.
Awesome.
And that is a great song as well. I love the way the lyric flows in that song.
Yeah. What I write? Shit, I can't remember the lyrics. I don't know. The white parts of your tan.
You got the white parts of her tan stuck in your head.
Yeah.
We actually posted that video tonight on Facebook, so hopefully it's going to trend. It's a cool summertime song.
Hey, I want to say something. Sorry,
Yeah.
I didn't mean to interrupt, but I want to say something about that. So,
Yeah.
when I was writing that song, I wanted to go into a change that wasn't pretentious, which means that it goes from, let's say, A up to D, standard change, right? I didn't want standard. So I worked really hard, and I'm very proud of the fact that I was playing the first part of the verse in A, and when I go into my change, I go to A sharp, but it doesn't clunk. So I fooled around with moving up only a half step, but making the melody work. So I kept la 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 la. I move up that half a step and try and find the note I should be singing that sounded normal. So when you hear the change in white parts of her tan, that's what I ended up doing. I purposely tried to not do what everybody does. It's standard. I don't want to be standard. I want something. Now people will hear that and not thinking of it, but it does sound. The change sounds different because I don't know how many people move up a half step in a song and keep singing over it. And that's what I wanted. I love the way Steely Dan writes their songs too, right?
Here's a great comment from Donnie Coulter. He says, "I'm a visual listener. I see the story going with the music. That's what leads to different interpretations from listeners."
Yes. There's other things that I try to do is not change. Say you're doing a verse and you're going to go into a pre-chorus and then a chorus. And everybody usually changes at the end of the 4th bar, right? It's just standard for people to change at the end of the 4th bar.
Yep.
I try to go 3.5 bars or 4.5 bars, because then your songwriting isn't pretentious because the listener is expecting it to happen on the next start of the next bar, but that never comes.
Yeah, you don't want to make it predictable.
Right, because everything's been done. If you can work at things like that, I do anyway, and you can't do it every time, but I mean, if I find there's a chance that I can play away from 4 bars and cut it to 3.5, that's what I'll do if I can make it work without it sounding clumsy. And then, anything with a short, repetitious melody, it wears out quickly. It's got a high burnout factor. So I try to make the melodies longer, like what the Beatles did. They sometimes sing really long melodies, right? And the longest melody I've ever heard that I can give you an example is "Tie a Yellow Ribbon Around the Old Oak Tree." That melody goes on and on and on. And by the time they get to the end, it's like halfway through the song, and all they do is repeat this really long melody twice, and the song's over.
That's
I
it.
mean, that's great
That's it.
songwriting.
That's it. Elizabeth Miller has a point here. She says to keep music real, stop pitch correcting, auto tuning singers with great natural voices, period. Great natural singing voices are what allow for emotional storytelling and artistic expression. What do you think of that?
I agree with her, but I'm not that good of a singer. I'm really not. I hardly speak to people some days at all, or other than my wife. So I'm not sitting here singing all the time. When it
I
comes time
I like
to
the white parts of her tan. I think your voice sounds really good and it suits the
well,
song.
yeah, but what happens is, so then I'll start writing another album, and I'll sing it, and the next day you go back and go, man, do I ever suck, right? And so then you sing the whole thing over again. Just throw everything away yesterday that you did, sing it again. Now you got a sore throat because you're not only am I not even talking, I'm not used to singing too, especially for a couple of hours. So then, the third day it'll be the same thing, or I gotta give my voice a rest, and then I'll just keep singing the damn thing because I don't sing all the time. That's why my
Right. And
throat's
so
not used to it, and
right.
so
So
I
you're
gotta.
looking at capturing you're looking at capturing your best vocal performance then.
Yeah, I mean, I hate. Well, there's timing too. I hate it if I sing sharp or flat, of course, and I do, and same with timing, and then of course, then there's emotion. Sometimes you want to put emotion in the lyric, not just sing the notes and the words, but add emotion to it, like Steven Tyler certainly does.
Right.
You know, so I mean, but that's the thing that I'll try to writing a long melody is really hard to do because I don't know, maybe I'm just still learning or whatever, but I prefer to write a long melody. And then I'm not trying to sing a melody on top of an existing guitar track, just strumming in. I'm trying to make the guitar and the vocals change together to write the long melody. Like
Right.
in some of my Wicked Twin songs, they have long melodies, and I do it on purpose. And it has a low burnout factor.
I want to send out a shout out to Deanbo Harnish. Deanbo is one of our regular supporters of the show. He said he enjoyed listening to the white parts of her tan. Play it at all the tanning salons all winter.
I agree.
We should try and get that on the playlist of all the tanning salons around. What do you think of that one?
I think that's a great idea, actually.
It's a great idea, man. And
now that I guess fall's coming, or fall's here almost.
And
but, we can do it every year. It's timeless.
My lovely partner is watching the show tonight. She says, "Hey, Brent and Canvas," from Michelle.
Hi, Michelle. How's it going, girl?
We got Brent Durner with us tonight. Brent was the original lead guitar player for Helix for many years, and then parted company with Helix a few times over the years. Went back a few times. Toured. How many countries did you guys tour in?
Oh,
15, 16 countries?
Well, I did 13 in Europe, and then Trinidad, Tobago, and the United States. So, but I mean, when Helix went back to Europe a bunch of times after I left, and by the way, I always left on good terms. They were always my friends when they left.
Right.
And but they went to some other countries that I've never been to. Austria, I've never been to Austria.
Right. And you're friends with all the guys in the band to this day.
Oh, yeah. Brian's my pal. Daryl's my pal. They're all my pals. Even the new guys are my pals.
Right. And so you started, and at one point in time, you formed a country band with your brother, Brian.
Yeah, the Cadillac Cowboys.
Yeah. And that was out of Cambridge? Was that band home? Was Cambridge home to that band?
I don't know. We rehearsed in the garage of my house. I had a detached garage in my second house, so that was our rehearsal space. Kevin, the Kevin was the keyboardist from Kitchener. Luc Grenier was the bassist from Guelph. My twin brother, of course, from Kitchener, me from Kitchener. And I can't remember the singer, our singer, but he was a cop, and we got rid of him. We,
he had a he had a drug problem.
He did. I couldn't believe it. So he was really, really cocky, and then we got to the gig, and there he was doing blow.
Not good.
No cop.
Not good. What sprung the idea of a country band? Why a country band after playing rock all those years? Why a country band?
At that time, there was just a huge whack of really great songs from at the time with Brooks and Dunn and Garth Brooks and some really great country Canadian artists. They had some, and there was all these really high energetic, well, if you call it rock and roll, but they put a country picture on it and a twang, right? But there was really great songs, and it was exciting music. We played all that high energy stuff. That was hits. We were just a cover band. And a thing that came along, we got together and decided, okay, so it's Wednesday. We'll see you here next Wednesday, and we're going to learn these first 7 songs. You got to know them front to back for the for the first band practice. So show up and know these 7 songs. Well, I sat down and I started listening to the guitar solos on these country songs, and I went, how in the hell are these guys doing this? So then I started going into tablature and reading. Well, I was reading tablature anyway. And I was reading how these guys were country guitar players were doing it. And I saw a lot of open string speed and lots of finger picking. And I literally learned it. And I ended up being a better guitar player for it. And it changed my playing technique forever, because I could never go back to just strumming with a pick. I always end up using my pick and these 2 fingers, even playing rock. I can't help it. I just go there, right?
And all those albums that you recorded with Helix, and then your 6 studio albums, and yet you say that playing country music taught you to be a better guitar player.
Yeah, well, even like again, the white parts of her tan. There's that country style right there. That's the opening lick. That's but you're keeping the running open string, so it's going ding 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 ding.
Yeah, that song's got a great hook.
You're playing both parts. Right, and you're pinching. And you got 3 pick and 2 fingers going. So,
yep.
And that's how you play it.
So playing country was a big deal. How many years did you guys play in that band?
1.
Just 1 year. It only lasted a year before it imploded.
Yeah, we went through a couple of different singers, and my twin brother was in, I don't know, over the years probably 34 or 45 bands. So Brian he was always making money drumming for bands, studio albums, and all kinds of stuff. And then Luke in Guelph, he's a bass player, and he played for all kinds of bands too. And Kevin, he's a music teacher at one of the high schools in Kitchener, and he had all this other stuff going on too. I was, I think, framing houses at the time. And I just thought this is bullshit, and I'll just I'll go and write an album instead.
Yeah, and this current album that you've been releasing, we've been doing a waterfall release on it. We're a few singles into the actual album now, and you got sidetracked because you've been really, really busy renovating.
Yeah, but this is my 5th house now. because we buy them and we sell them around here, and we make money doing that. So I'm in my fifth house. Every house I sell, I make a shitload of money. I'm old. I need money so I can buy beer and as much of it as I want.
Right.
And yeah, so I mean, with this house here, we could see it was another kind of a shitty place, and we could see the potential. We walk into and say, take out that wall, add 6 feet onto the back of the house, make the kitchen twice the size. You know, we put our bathtub inside of our shower, which is a really cool new modern idea.
Yeah, you came up with some really great ideas doing, putting that house together as you flip that house, getting it all redone, and you're not a stranger to that kind of hard work.
No, like the guy when we wanted a 6 foot addition across the back of the house, 38 feet or 36 feet by 6 feet out, and the framer wanted 20 grand. Well, I used to frame houses, and I said to the framer guy, like, where do you arrive at this price? He goes, well, we'll be there for 2 weeks. And I said, so when do framers make 10 grand a week? Right? So I said, never mind. And I did it myself with Caleb Duck, Helix guitar player, Duckcraft Homes, and one other guy, so 3 carpenters, the 3 of us. And the other 2 didn't know how to cut a roof, and I did. So I cut the roof, and we nailed it together, and the past building inspection. What can I say? So I saved 10 grand doing that. And then, I paid everybody else cash whenever I could. And I saved thousands doing that. The electrician, 9 grand.
Yeah, that's probably one of the most expensive parts of the work, because electrical work, you don't want to screw around with that.
Yeah, the plumber, 8,000.
Yikes.
The drywallers were really cheap, a couple of $1,000.
Get back to the music. When you write a song, here's a comment that Don Coulter makes, and I want you to comment to this one. He says, I don't think we're ever 100% satisfied with what I do musically or vocally. Even after the release, I hear something different that I could have done.
10-4, I hear that too. Like, why did I sing that? Why didn't I change that lyric? Why did I do it that way? My voice sucks. Why is it they sound like a girl? I want to sound like a man when I sing. As soon as they start singing, I sound like a girl. Don't really like my voice.
And I noticed you've been putting a lot of keyboards in your songs, and that requires you to write everything in 440 hertz standard tuning, right?
You can just put it wherever you want it. I found MIDI was. I had a learning curve where when I first looked at how does this MIDI work, right? And I watched a bunch of tutorials. And then what I would do is I would just ghost record something that I kind of want to hear on my guitar. And then I would just copy myself in MIDI and then just add piano and stuff. And then, I have Peter Beacox played on a few of them where some of the stuff's a little more complicated. But I really, I like MIDI. It's fast and it's fun. I mean,
now, do you record in standard tuning, or do you record down half step for singing?
I think I left it in standard tuning, but you can just change the key if you want. The only thing you're not going to get is sometimes I'll use a drop D, like one of the songs that I released earlier. I'd hide a body for you.
Right.
That's drop D tuning.
So that's all in D standard tuning then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
and you're
Caleb trying to talk me into changing my tuning down, dropping it down to D right across the board, right? One whole step down.
Well, there's a lot of bands. Including Ozzy Osbourne, who actually sings live in D tuning, because it's a lot easier to sing the songs than it is to sing them in standard tuning.
That's right. When we played 250 live shows in one year, your voices get tired. And we just dropped our tuning a half step, and it was way easier on our voices. Just that one, just that one change, because you got to sing when we were really busy. And when does your voice ever get a break, right?
Yeah, there's so many bands that I know play live. They play in E flat or D sharp tuning because it's just so much easier on the voice. Some go right down to D tuning. Metallica is one band that records, I believe, everything in D tune.
Yeah, Caleb wants me to do that for the next album. So and that's
Is
okay.
Caleb gonna play on the next album?
He probably would if I asked him to. He's a spastic guitar player.
Oh,
Holy!
he's a great guitar player,
When
man.
he jams, he's just jamming out solos. He's just spastic when he plays.
I'm trying to get him to come down here to the studio and jam with us here in the studio, but he's busy with his reno business, so he's.
Yeah, he sure is. And he just bought another house.
Wow.
He got a really good deal. He got a really good deal. I think he paid $700 for it, and it's got like an acre and a half and a circle driveway at the front, and there's a driving shed out the back and a swimming pool and a brand new addition on it. I guess the guy came home and found his wife in bed with somebody, and
Oh no!
And that was the end of the house.
It's
For sale, cheap.
It's one of those. Got to get rid of this house, get it on the market, and be gone.
Caleb said that the brand new siding was still flapping in the wind, where it was like the guy pulled in and said, "Stop everything you're doing, no matter right at this very moment. Pack up your tools and go." So that's why there was brand new siding still flapping in the wind, and things all taped and wired, and it just needs to be sanded and taped, mudded one more time, and primer and paint on the addition.
Caleb will have that finished in no time at all.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you weren't a contractor, you wouldn't bid on it, and no one did. Like, no one. Caleb was the only one. So, it's going to need lots of work. I told Caleb, I'll go down there, anything you need. Like, I think he's going to need to buy at least a diesel lawnmower tractor or something, because his driveway's pretty long. And you're not going to want to shovel that this winter.
That puppy cleaned out, no problem.
Yeah.
So, talking about music, lyrics, the song itself, how important is getting that hook in the song for you?
Well, it's pretty important, and then because I experiment always when I'm songwriting to see what I can find. For once in my life, I wrote the song "I Giant." It's on my Wicked Twin. You can see the video,
right?
And it's actually, there is no chorus at all. So, playing guitar, I go to 20 foot tall. The amp in my head, the size of Gotham Town Hall. Speakers the size of a hurricane eye. In my mind, I'm a really big guy. Wow! There is no chorus in that, but generally I try to write a chorus with the best friggin' song title I can find, like The Smashing Pumpkins. I want another song title like that.
When you wrote that song, "I Giant," was that a reference to anything particular?
No, it was actually, I just forced myself to write. So I was just writing a song about songwriting. Really.
But was it a reference at all to how you used to feel when you were on stage playing live in front of
an audience? Of course, for sure. So, like, speakers the size of a hurricane eye, right? I was trying to paint pictures, like I said earlier, and then in my mind, I'm a really big guy.
Oh man, some great songs. If you guys have not ventured over to find My Wicked Twin, you can find them on our website at indytunes.com. You can find My Wicked Twin Twin Tunes, wherever music is sold across the internet. Follow My Wicked Twin on Spotify because it is one of the few download and streaming services that provides artists with an emailing list every time they release new music. So even if you don't subscribe to Spotify, but could sign up for Spotify free, you can sign up to follow artists on Spotify and you'll get an email notification every time they release new music. So you don't even have to subscribe to Spotify Premium in order to get those notifications. So it's a really great tool for artists because it allows them to build email lists without having to work at email lists. So that's one of the cool things that I like about the platform, aside from some of the other shitty parts of it.
Yeah, there's My Wicked Twin on YouTube too. We have our own channel there.
That's right. You got your own channel. You can find all My Wicked Twin videos on our YouTube channel as well, Indie Tunes Records. Please subscribe and find those. We can put those in the comments down below because getting people to follow what we're doing and getting people to subscribe to what we're doing is a big part of supporting the artists that are on the label. Some great things to come yet. Brent's not done writing music yet. We've got some more tracks that are going to come out once he gets back into full music mode again. He's just wrapping up some final renos on the house.
They're going to pave or they're going to tear out our driveway tomorrow and then pave it, and then that's going to be it.
And you know what? Here's the interesting thing I found about your songwriting and how it relates to so many other things in your life. You pay a great deal of attention to detail when you're putting songs together, but you use that as a transferable skill when it comes to the renovations on your house, because you were just telling me your concerns about your front step as they dig down in the ground to put in your driveway.
Yeah, the stairs are sitting on the ground, but if they tear the driveway out, how are the stairs going to stay there? I was kind of wondering about that. I have to have a conversation with that guy tomorrow morning.
That's right. It's one of those, because you have a retaining wall up there as well, that can be impacted by all of that digging. So
yes. Hey, I wanted
to be careful.
I wanted to jump back about the songwriting.
Yeah.
So when I'm doing work around the house, which seems was never gonna end, I listen to the college station.
Right.
Because I don't like all the songs that I hear.
Right.
But I hear new ideas. And that's why I listen to it. And I got to tell you, I heard some of the songs got really weak lyrics. And I have to go, ouch, right? But I listen to the college station here in Kitchener, Conestoga College, because I hear new ideas. And then I hear mixes too, where I wished I knew all the bands. Like, I wish they'd say who they just played, because I hear some really great songs. It's the college station. They're kids. And they don't say who the artist was that they just played, which kind of pisses me off. So I can't tell you some of the new stuff that's really good, but a lot of it's melodic, and they play heavy stuff too, but mostly they're an alternative radio station. And I want to hear new ideas. And then, I hear some stuff that I'll actually sit down and learn that artist's song just to see what it was that they did that caught my ear.
Right.
Even that Steely Dan song. Bling, 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 bling. So on a piano, they stayed with one note and they kept walking down two, and then they moved that note and walked down two. Oh, this one's still going. And then they move over again and walk down two. That's how the one that Steely Dan's song starts. And I sat down and just learned it by ears just to see, why does this sound so good, right? And then, of course, the bass doesn't follow that, which is he's playing in a different key, right? He's not playing the root note,
right,
every chord. So that's kind of things that I like to learn. It's fun to learn, and then I just maybe just file that in the back of my brain for when I'm songwriting. I'm not there trying to steal ideas. I'm not there to steal their licks. I'm just looking for how they were how they were writing, right?
And those things provide some level of inspiration for your own writing.
Yes, of course. Yeah, if I sat down and learned the song, that means that I was inspired by it. There was a band called the Squeeze, and the guy played a really killer guitar solo in it. And even though they were kind of an English pop band, it had a killer solo. So I went and learned it. And I was a better player for it, right?
Right. Growing up, what was your favorite band?
I got a Deep Purple Machine Head for Christmas. I got that album for Christmas. And holy cow, as soon as I heard Ian Gillan and those guys and the solos, I was just blown away. I didn't think it was even possible. So I was super inspired. That's what kicked it all off. Machine Head, one of the best albums ever.
I just got a really, really, really great copy of Machine Head here. It's a real pristine copy of it. And I picked it up at Rockbox Records in Mount Bridges.
Cool.
And they have a whole bunch of really cool stuff there that's not been not come out of their packages. Like I found some albums that had not come out of their packages at all, like this one here.
Cool.
It's never been taken out of the package. It's still brand new in the package. And I said to Brad, how did you get these albums? Here's another great one. One of my favorite ones.
One of the best albums ever.
AC/DC Highway to Hell with Bon Scott.
Yeah.
Great album.
And then there was Alice Cooper Killer album, which was just a killer album.
That's right.
And there's another example of long melodies. Alice Cooper wrote long melodies in there. The Ballad of Dwight Fry, where they wouldn't have just a 4-bar thing going on. They make a really long rounds of music if it ever repeated. I mean, of course, School's Out was just, the pop song they needed for that album, the hit song that they needed to lead the album off. But the rest of the album's got real depth.
Yeah, going to an Alice Cooper concert is kind of like going to a rock opera, isn't it?
Sure is, man. So there were certain albums, and then we were into Uriah Heep, and even though they were pretty much keyboard oriented, it was just great songwriting. So, and then of course the Beatles. He goes the one song Paul McCartney wrote. It goes, and in the end, it goes, the love you make is equal to the love. See that ingenious change from ding 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 to 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3. So he changes the whole feel, and he gets out of that feel of the song with that little change, and they go back into a slow part. The songwriting, we know, everybody knows what the Beatles just set the standards in songwriting.
Derek Peterson says you're a big Walter Rossi fan.
Yeah, I used to have one of his albums a long time ago. When I had albums, I sold them all because I kept moving all the time, and I didn't want to move the albums, so I just took them into a record store and sold the whole whack of them off there. Milk boxes full of them.
Yeah, I think I sold like 1,000 albums back in the day because same thing. I moved so many times, I got tired of, taking them with me every place I went.
Yeah. So we moved in here last December 2023, basically December 1st. Well, I was still unpacking today. So this is my 5th time I've done this, right?
Hey, show us what you found under the stairs. Do you still have it sitting there with you, that little guitar?
Yeah, look at this. I found this in a packing thing today. I was trying to clean out under the stairs from the move, and I thought, what's in this thing? And I looked, and there was this electric guitar. It's kind of upside down, but it's tied down. It should be this way. But it's even got, if you can see, it's got 6 strings on it and a whammy bar. And I have no idea. It's tied in there with that red bow. Looks like a Gretsch to me. And I have no idea where I got this from. Somebody must have given it.
This is definitely a mystery for you, Brent, because you don't know where you got that, where that guitar came from.
Yeah, I got a Helix pillowcase too that's all sewn up and painted, and another one that's painted up with the Helix logo on the pillowcase perfectly. I still got it. I'm using it.
Nice, nice. Well, listen, we're at the top of the hour here. I want to thank you for joining me tonight, Brent, helping me out with the show tonight, sharing a part of your life with us. Songwriting, we know, is your passion. I know that lyrics are really important to you, especially if someone's asking you to make a video. You also have a company called Red D Film.
Yeah. But I don't want to go and film live shows anymore because I'm autoimmune.
That's
and
right.
COVID's getting stronger, the doctor tells us. And I don't want to be in a big crowd. I'm autoimmune. I'll catch anything easier than anybody else, sadly.
Right. So
Yeah.
you're staying right away from that stuff.
Yeah, I'll edit your video for you. I'm really good. I've done about 152 music videos now. And I got a real good feel, and I got all the editing tools to do that with, all the software. And I know what I'm doing with it, the 3D environment. I don't really like using the 3D objects too much, but I do know how to work with them.
Well, you can find the white parts of rattan on our YouTube channel. You can also find it on the Indie Tunes homepage, as well as on the Indie Tunes Records page. We just today we have another video of yours uploaded. I'd hide a body for you. That is now on Vivo. You can check that out on Vivo. You can check it out on your favorite download and streaming service. iTunes is carrying it. Spotify is carrying it. So you can check out the video there as well. And
can I say?
You can download it.
I wrote, "This love tastes just like ice cream. The wind blows harder than you've ever seen." Yeah.
Yeah, great lyrics, man. Great lyrics. Brent is all about the lyrics. Brent Durner from My Wicked Twin, formerly of Helix. He wants to help get Helix inducted into Canada's Music Hall of Fame, as well as onto Canada's Walk of Fame. He'd like his name on a star there. Why not, right?
Yeah.
You guys are a great part of Canadian history.
Yeah, like the interview said, some bands are there. They only had one gold album and they broke up. Helix is 50 years old with all these albums, and we're not there. Want to explain that? Mansplain it to me, will you?
Yeah, mansplain it to me. Thanks for joining me tonight, Brent. This has been the Indie Show.
Thanks for having me.
This has been the Indie Show. I am Kenny. Oh, boy, look at my cameras all breaking up there. That's weird. I am Kenny, and you are not. This has been the Indie Show. Have a great end of your week, everybody.